You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are watching and listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Today, it's January 30th, 2026. Big day. I couldn't have planned it better. Martin Armstrong is on with us now. It's been kind of a momentous day and a momentous month in the metals markets for sure. I mean, as we're talking, gold is down $505 the ounce. Silver is down $32 the ounce. Martin, you were like calling for Monday for an inflection point for gold. You were off by 24 hours, but I guess it's better than most of these other analysts who are off by years and decades, right?
Well, it's like holding your hand up in the air. We can all do that, but keep it there. Eventually it feels so heavy, it's got to come down, And the biggest problem with the metals, which is very interesting this time, most of the rally has been actually short covering rather than, people running out and, I just got to buy it sort of thing. So you don't have the real tremendous speculative type bubble, demand bubble. And I've spoken to many people in the industry, refiners, etc. And what's going on is that a lot of people that did have silver were dumping it at these kind of prices. Mm-hmm. To the point that the refiners are no longer, even accepting it or offering any money in advance.
They're puking silver.
Yeah, so that comes back to the small dealers. They can't buy it because they can't sell it. They don't have the capital to keep going. So, whatever they buy today, they're typically selling it off to the wholesalers the next day. And if they're not paying, it's taking 2 to 3 months to get it, then they stop buying. This is really what's going on. And so you get an inflection point at this stage, but our computer's clearly showing this is not, the end of the bull market. This is not a major long-term high like 1980, something along those lines. This is still a perfect storm in the sense that we have shortages in metals, a lack of refining capacity. We have sovereign debt crisis going on around the world. And then you got war. So when you have this sort of a perfect storm, it still looks as though, fine, you get an inflection point, you pull back short term, and then it's going to, take off again. We may even see a temporary low by next week and then a bounce back again. It's mainly people who've been shorting, expecting it, like 62% decline and all this stuff, and that's going to stay down there. We're just not dealing with the same thing that we were dealing with years ago.
Yeah, the physical shortage, the actual deficit in silver, and then we have expanding industrial uses in everything. I don't have to repeat them, but cars, you name it, cruise missiles, and solar panels, and all the electronics, they all need silver. There's no substitute. And we haven't been producing enough because prices have been too low, and it's all byproduct mining. So when we talked a couple of times ago, you said gold would hit 5,000 and then 10,000 really quick, because when it breaks a number like 5,000, then there's not much resistance ahead. So you called this, your article was yesterday saying that Monday was probably that point, and it turned out to be Friday, but 10,000 gold is still on the horizon, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is not longer term. I mean, by the time we get into 2032, I would expect like silver at least like around 165. And the same thing with gold. I mean, a lot of the, unfortunately, a lot of the gold bugs have constantly misrepresented what gold has gone up for. I mean, I was there in the 1980s, and gold went from about 400 to 875 in the last 6 weeks, and that's when Russia invaded Afghanistan. It's geopolitical. It's not. You don't get that doubling effect in 6 weeks because of inflation. That's just nonsense. It's more of a geopolitical thing. It's the same thing, like with BRICS. You took Russia out of SWIFT. That was then a warning sign to everybody else. If they don't do what the Biden administration ordered them to do, they could be removed. And you even have Blinken even threaten China. Don't support Russia in this Ukraine war. We might do the same to you. Really? The problem I have with these people is that they, in all honesty, they're complete idiots. Because all they look at is what's in front of their nose. Oh, I got to beat Russia. So let's do this. Okay. What are the implications of what you're doing? All right. It's like the Vietnam War. Okay. You've got Robert McNamara before he died. It's on YouTube, and he wrote a book. Sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. We thought Russia was involved. Well, not only did 58,000 Americans die because they were wrong, but you broke Bretton Woods. The whole gold standard. I mean, I think a 3-year-old with a pocket calculator could have figured it was going to crash. You can't fix the price of gold at $35, but then continue to print dollars for whatever you want to wage wars. Then you had Johnson and the great, society and socialism. The amount of dollars that was being created with no understanding that how do you do that and still maintain a $35 fixed rate? That's what I mean. It just, to me, it's very frustrating because you would think somebody with common sense would figure out you can't fix the currency and at the same time print as much as you want.
Yeah, but we're still doing the same thing, right? I mean, look at these deficits.
But it's at least not fixed.
Yeah.
If it was fixed, I mean, we wouldn't be able to last this long. But then you get these people that say, "Oh, it's fiat because it's not backed." Really, they don't understand what a currency is. The backing of it is the wealth of the nation. It's the productivity of the people. And I mean, both China and Japan rose from the ashes after World War II for productivity, not gold. They both became the largest in their respective regions. All right. If the backing of a currency with, commodities is supposed to be the real value, then Russia should be number one.
Right.
They got more commodities than anybody. Then you had the dollar going up after Bretton Woods collapse. And so again, the gold bug inflationists were wrong. They thought the dollar would collapse. So then they came up with the petrodollar theory. Oh, now the dollar is backed by oil. Okay, well then why is not the Saudi riyal number one currency? You know, and oil's not, it's less than 10% of world trade. So where is that the backing of the dollar? Well, you have to understand, you can go on eBay and buy bonds, China issued bonds in British pounds before World War I. Everybody went to Britain to sell their bonds because that was the financial capital. That's where money was. You needed money, you went there to borrow. After World War II, New York became that way. So all these emerging markets, they issue debt in dollars so they can sell it. This was the problem in China. China should have been more authoritarian. They told their provinces and people, do not borrow in dollars. They all did. The dollar went up, and they all lost a ton of money. They were just, oh, gee, yes, I can save money on interest rates. I can save 2% if I go in dollars. Okay, but then the dollar goes up 20%. I think you lost your shirt. So it's more than all of that. It's the strength and support of the dollar is the economy itself. Japan's got to sell its Toyotas to Americans. Germany's got to sell its BMWs to Americans. So we're the largest consumer-based economy. And they're all selling their stuff here.
And they have no choice, right? They have to sell here or they lose a huge part of their market.
Look, that was the whole idea behind the euro. This is why Germany... Kohl took Germany into the euro. He didn't allow the people to vote under the theory that with a single currency for Europe, they could export more cars, etc., to the rest of Europe and eliminate the foreign exchange risk. Because if the Deutschmark went up by 20%, then the price of a car to an Italian went up 20%, and they couldn't sell it.
Right.
So, I saw that back in 85. I was living in London. I bought a Ferrari, 308. It was a $60,000 car in the United States at the time. And in British pounds, the pound went down to par. Right. So I got it for 42,000 or whatever it was. But then the pound went back to $2. Ferrari couldn't afford to sell cars at 40-some thousand, so they raised the price in pounds. But then the pound doubles. And then everybody saw Ferraris were suddenly double in price. So the idiots, then you saw people buying Ferraris because they thought the Ferrari was the investment. It was just currency.
Yeah.
I met somebody in Toronto. He had like 40 Ferraris, and he thought this was a fantastic investment. I said, it wasn't the Ferrari that went up. I'm sorry. It was all currency.
I love it. So at the World Economic Conference, and any of you out there, I highly recommend that you go to the next one, because it's just, you can't get information in that group of people that are there. You'll never find these people any other place. But you talked about the panic, 2026 being panic cycle year. It looks like it's living up to that. And we're getting closer and closer. If I remember correctly, April, May was kind of where it peaks.
Yeah, it's a panic cycle is typically something that takes out both directions. From a trader's perspective, you just exceeded yesterday's high and you turn around and you crash for the afternoon and you take out the low. That's what we call panic cycle. So we had this on war starting here in 26, as well as the euro. And so you have the euro rising. They expected it to rise first and then turn around and go down. The prospect of war developing is quite high. I mean, as you know, I was shocked to be called in to even ask to write the peace plan for Russia. And I took my assistant, Hannah. At first it was like I was being invited in for a briefing. I said, "You want to brief me on what's going on in Russia?" I mean, all right, I'll show up. And then she had to leave the room. I said, "Oh, so this is real national security stuff now." And so I was asked to write this peace plan. And then they said, "We want you to use your back channels." I said, "You want me to do that?" And they said, "Yes." So I did. I got it on Putin's desk. Took me 4 days to write the thing. And like a college, preparing for a college exam, you're working 15 hours a day. And like 2 days later, Lavrov came out and said, "We are willing to guarantee we're not interested in invading NATO." And at that meeting, I was told, "We agree with you. We will not be in war with Russia. It will be China." And so then I think basically it got obvious why I was called in. Because I think the neocons that have infiltrated the Trump administration were blocking everything all the time. At that meeting, I mean, you know me, I just say whatever it is that
Yeah.
what the computer says. I don't really give a shit what they have to say. I said, "Look, we should get the hell out of NATO. They're going to create a false flag to invoke Article 5 to try and drag us in to fund their war." And I was surprised. The response was, "Yes, we know you're correct."
Wow.
I said, "Yeah, wow." Then you had Rubio stand up, swearing we're still in with NATO, we'll be there for NATO. I got basically a thank you letter from Trump. I was kind of surprised being called in. And I even asked, I said, "Is this sanctioned?" Because I'm wondering if I'm being called in by some side group or something, And I said, "No, this is sanctioned. You were approved to be called in." And I said, "Oh, all right, fine." So now I did get a thank you letter from Trump, which I put on the blog. But I don't know what's out in the press right now. It should be out maybe today or by tomorrow or something like that. But now I've heard that Trump is going to shut down over 200 NATO installations.
Wow.
And
that's big.
People. So, check the press. That might be coming out, very soon. So it's hard for me to say. I've dealt with Europe and I've dealt with the U.S. And so I've again, I think part of the reason I was called in is because I was called in initially for designing the euro from scratch. So I know all the ins and outs and how it wasn't formed correctly. And And that's the debt problem that they have. We saw it initially in 2010 when Greece got in trouble.
Right.
When, I'm not an academic, I'm a trader. After that, what happened? Immediately, all the guys, they made a lot of money short in Greece. Great. Who's next? Oh, Spain. Okay. And then you go off. All right. This is the problem with Europe because they did not consolidate the debt.
Right.
Each country still has its own debt. And each country prints euros. They have little codes on the notes that should say which central bank does it come from. The structural flaw here is you've had UK and France both admit, their finance ministers admit they could be pushed to the point of needing an IMF bailout. That's what Greece was in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say for argument, the traders are watching France meticulously. If it just smells like they might be in trouble, they're going to start shorting. So then, what do you short? You're going to look to see which banks hold the most French debt. That's how it worked with Greece.
Right.
So then, because they didn't consolidate this, it turns into a contagion. It affects, okay, who's next? Okay. Italy. I've been in discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they know what I've said for decades. And what I've heard, rather than reforming, rather than actually correcting the problem, all right, is that if Southern Europe got in trouble again, Italy, Greece, Spain, they would jettison them, regroup the euro to the northern states. I mean, these are politicians and academics. They're not traders.
Right.
What's a trader going to do? Start shorting this shit out of whatever looks weak. I mean, this is what they don't get. And that's my concern for Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why they need war, why they have to have an external enemy, because otherwise the people, if they're going to lose their pension funds and things of this nature, they're going to be storming the parliaments with pitchforks.
Right.
It's like Biden, when he put on the sanctions and gasoline went up, what did he say? Oh, it's Putin's inflation. But what did some of the, this is pretty standard for, it doesn't matter what government you're looking at, left, right, center, whatever. They will always blame an external enemy.
Yeah, this is true.
So you go to Europe and they're all, oh, Putin's evil. Putin wants to take Europe. All this nonsense. You look at the press. I just read the Telegraph. I have no respect for any of them. Oh, Putin invaded unprovoked. Really? Okay. The day before, Zelensky stood up and said they were going to rearm with nuclear weapons. All right. And the Washington Post found out he knew when Russia was going to cross the border.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an interview, you can look it up. They asked him, why did you not warn your people? His response, if I told them we were going to be invaded, it would have cost me $7 billion.
Wow.
I mean, these people are not interested in their countries. They're not interested in humanity.
No.
Trump has, I believe, that is now out in the press. My peace plan, I said, just honor the Minsk agreement. and the war would be over. Trump has
Simple.
just said to Zelensky he must surrender the Donbass in order for U.S. to give him the guarantees. And that was the Minsk agreement.
Yeah.
Allow the Donbass, which are Russians, to simply vote. Do you want to be part of Ukraine or separate? Yeah. Czechoslovakia split along ethnic lines. Czech Republic, Slovakia. Yugoslavia broke up. Ethnic lines. Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro. This whole region has been occupied by Ottomans, so many times that you have many different ethnic groups that are out there, and they hate each other. Yeah. This is, inviting Hamas to set up to as your next door neighbor. It's in Israel. They just hate each other.
Yeah, that's it.
There's certain things you're not going to overcome. And Iran and Israel. It's religious. It's my God against your God.
Yeah.
All right. This is not, okay, I'll give you, a boardwalk for a Park Place. This is much beyond that type of negotiation. This is ethnic hatreds that maybe can be calmed down for a while, but they're always going to be there.
Yeah, that's it.
2 employees in Ukraine, and we had a conference in Greece. And the one from Kiev refused to fly back the fastest way because the plane simply stopped in Moscow.
Yeah,
and you're just changing plans. Nope, we'll not go there with those Russians. This is what you're dealing with. The hatred is systemic, and you're not going to, Ukraine from the very beginning. You can search our blog. I said Ukraine should be split along ethnic lines, like Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. It's the only way to peace. Yeah. And how many millions of people have died for what? We're at the same place. Trump says, give up the Donbass if you want the guarantees. And there's just certain things you can't do. It's just, this is where we're at.
All right. Well, on that note, I got one favor for you for part 2 of our video here. If you could just pull up Socrates and tell us what you told us earlier, but just illustrated on the arrays for gold and silver coming up in the March area. That would be great.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
This is part 2.
Let's see.
Look at that. That's quite a chart.
There's the chart on the gold. See, we have a major turning point in 27, and I think that's going to be linked into war. And then your biggest one is off in 2032 with the panic cycle at that point.
Right.
But looking at this on a monthly level, here we had January, which probably at best, maybe, you got a minor turning point coming in February. The biggest one's going to be in March. Then you got April, May, June, June, July, August. The summer looks more like war. When you start correlating it with the rest of the world, it doesn't look very good. But if it's, I don't see a, like after 1980, we had a 19-year bear market. I don't see that. The monetary system is probably going to crack. And by that, I mean that Europe, there's so much discontent within Europe itself. They have a high risk of civil unrest, particularly in France, from all the migrants that they've allowed in. And the problem with that is that they didn't come to share and to assimilate. They came and said, no, this is sections of Sweden, and they said, no, share law here. You can't do that. That's almost like a conquest. I'm going to conquer this country and it's going to be mine. You're not going there to share something. When they were designing the euro, I told them they didn't understand the dollar. I said, and what made the dollar work, I said, was discrimination. They go, oh, how could you say that? I said, because it was fair. Whoever was the last off the boat, all right, was the group that was discriminated against until they learned to speak English to get a job, and then they assimilated. Then you ask an American today, what are you? Go, oh, I'm half German, half Irish, or Italian, or whatever. Then everybody intermarried once you had the same language. That's what you don't see in Europe. Yeah, there's some exceptions. But do you really see somebody from Scotland going down and marrying somebody from Sicily? They don't speak the same language. The culture's different. This is what keeps Europe divided. And that's why I warn them about creating the euro. You're trying to forcibly create the United States. And it doesn't work that way. All right? There was no, central decree. You must speak English or whatever. I mean, if I'm going to hire somebody to answer the phones, they got to speak English. They can't say "que pasa."
Sure.
And a lot of people have difficulty now with, tech support for some of these companies because they come from India and they don't understand the accent.
I've had it. I've had that myself. So
I think we've all had that. So, excuse me, what are you saying?
So gold, silver, we're looking at new highs in March?
It depends how much of a pullback we get, but I would say if you get a low by March, the fact that is the major target, you're going to see a rally from there on out, probably into 27. Wow.
That's pretty amazing. All right. Well, I've already pressed you for too much information here, Marty, but look, this is like we've been putting off our call for like weeks now, but it worked out perfectly because you just wrote the article yesterday for your blog, which I saw, which said that Monday would be the turning point. You were one trading day late, but I didn't see that from anybody else. And even myself, I thought it was possible, but I didn't think it was really going to happen right at this moment. But there it was, right smack dab. And now, so this is a fake breakdown then, effectively, right? Head fake?
The rally was also kind of fake because it was mostly short covering.
And I think they pushed it. I pushed it higher just so they could break it down faster now. That's my perception of what happened here.
A lot of professionals have lost their shirts on this one.
Not me. I'm not a professional, though. I don't profess to be one, but I'm still sitting pretty.
Well, I think what happens is that they think they're in the middle of it and they know everything that's going on, and they don't. Because it's your own actions that make some of this stuff. I know one major player that lost a ton of money on silver, shorting it too early.
Wow.
But this is what makes markets. It's we have to understand this rally has been different than most, and that's why I would say that there aren't too many people around it. Actually, I mean, I was there for 1980. I traded the whole damn thing.
I remember it, but I was a little too young to be trading. I was only 13, but it really set me down the path of watching gold and really becoming an observer of the market. But in silver, there is actually a physical shortage, isn't there?
Yes.
Undeniably.
Yeah, I mean, you had China restrict selling as of January 1st. They were representing about 60% of the physical market. Now you have Trump vowing to create a silver pool for strategic purposes of $2.5 billion. Mm-hmm. So I don't, the computer's just not showing, a major bear market. It's, we go back, consolidate, take off again. It's not over yet. And so, as they say, this fat lady sings,
Yeah. And the fat lady's on vacation. Hey, one thing I just want to mention about Vietnam, I visited Ho Chi Minh City recently. And when you talk about the war there, all of the armaments that we left, just like Afghanistan, and there's a museum there, the War Remnants Museum, and anybody who goes there, I highly recommend it, but it's like seeing an American arsenal that we just left there, like Phantom jets, F-5s, tanks, Huey helicopters, and Chinooks. And I mean, it's just all there. And their presentation, they have no ill will towards the United States. That's the amazing part, Marty. Most of them want to come and live here.
Yeah, it's, look, I visited Hiroshima, and it was very interesting. I had people coming up apologizing to me that America had to, drop bombs.
Go figure.
It was in Tokyo when the Gulf War, because of the Constitution, that Japan wasn't allowed to have troops more than 200 miles offshore.
Right.
They were sending money, but so many other people didn't understand it. And they were criticizing the Japanese. Oh, they'll send money, but they won't send their boys. Right. And so the politicians were getting together and making a motion to change the Constitution so they could send troops offshore. And I was in Tokyo. I'm telling you, there was at least 1 million people in protests. And I spoke to some, and their view was, if they changed the Constitution, the military would seize power again. And they were afraid they would take them back to war.
Doesn't seem real right.
Their own military.
But smart to distrust the military-industrial complex. And while we're at it, I just want to mention a new book coming out. It's called America's Great Parking Scam. You've Been Robbed. And I can't get it to go clearly on the camera. There we go. I have to cover up my face. But it's how you recognize these extractive, exploitative systems and what you can do about it. Coming out soon. Marty, appreciate you coming on. Of course, Armstrong Economics. Highly, highly recommend that you subscribe to Socrates. I'm a subscriber. Sometimes I have to use AI to figure out exactly what Marty is saying, but it's almost always right. So obviously, he's tapped into something that the rest of us have only dreamed of. And if you got any questions or comments, KL@kerrylutz.com. Just drop me a line. All right, Marty, thanks.
Oh, thank you. Take care of yourself.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.